G'day everyone, it's Maydad here from Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia, coming at you live. And we've got a special guest today, all the way from Florida, USA. She's a professional boxer and a great friend that I've known for many years, which I met at the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame in USA. Carissa Taz Brown, how are you doing? And thank you for joining us.
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's only 9:30 in the morning here. What time is it over there?
Oh my, it's 7:30 over here,
Oh
PM.
wow. So I'm blessed to have you the time with you to be able to talk to me. And I know it's your Sunday night over there. We're actually a day ahead. It's Monday morning here. So it's great that we've been able to connect and make the time out to talk about your journey today. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey growing up before you got into boxing, what you were studying, where you were living in USA?
Okay, well, it's all started out in Lakeland, Florida. That's where I was born and raised. And I attended school, but my thing growing up was playing all sports. Like I had fun playing football, soccer, whatever else you name it, even jumping rope. But really it led into me loving track and field, running just in general. And that's really what I focused on because I was also in the choir in church. Also, I learned music from my father, learning how to write bass and treble clef and playing the trombone. But initially, as I got older, track took over and I ran predominantly competing in high school, holding records at my high school in the 100, 200, 400, long jump, triple jump, and also participated in the 4x1 as well as the 4x8 shot put and discus throw.
You,
But
you
before
really are
boxing,
educating
track was,
everybody. Yeah, you are educating everybody here about your roots and how beautiful your culture is. I know my wife and her family and others I've interviewed here. It's just the beauty of your culture and everybody's involved in track and music. Sorry, keep going. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just think it's amazing. That's all.
oh no, it's a lot that I ended up learning and playing around with. Like even when I was young, before I even got into track, my father taught me how to paint with watercolor. So a lot of part of my heritage I grew up with as well, learning with the Gullah Geechee. That's my heritage, and basically those are Africans who were brought over to the USA because of slavery. And it starts up at, I believe, I want to say it's a not an island, but it's a beach, the American beach at the tip of Florida, and it goes all the way up to Nova Scotia where the Gullah Geechee, where my relatives are.
Is
But
that um the Are there any indigenous tribes? Like I know Linda's got Native Indian in her. Most African Americans have got a bit of Native Indian in them. Have you got, sorry, can can you do you know what part of what tribe or what?
other than specifying whether you're Gullah or Geechee, where there's also mixing in with the Yamasee tribe and also, of course, Seminole. So.
It's really interesting. It's amazing history. Um, and keep talking, keep telling us. I mean, I'm all ears.
Oh, but growing up with that type of foundation taught me a lot about my heritage, where I came from, and then also had my involvement in with art, music, even the food itself. I'll say it's a little bit different just because it's not just seafood. It's soft shell blue crabs and then rice predominantly. That's what we were doing in the crops as slaves, and of course we kept that as part of the food for us to eat in order to grow. But we also had a lot of different cultural events as well as African dance. I took African ballet first and then continued with contemporary ballet, but all of it just really enhanced my knowledge as far as my heritage as well as in just for dance in particular, my knowledge in it more so spread it, not just African ballet, but contemporary as well.
That's so amazing. Carice, I have a twin brother, and he's married to an African American girl from Jacksonville, originally. Her family's from Florida, and she always shares with us all the history of living in Florida and traveling through Florida. And her dad was, they would hunt crocodiles and skin them and stuff like that. And
Oh,
yeah, the whole family would do that, and they would go from one area to one area. And but it's just such an amazing history. Can you tell us a little bit about what got you into boxing?
really what got me into boxing, one, I've always been I want to say martial arts. First, it started off with wrestling, me and my dad watching it growing up. But I had a profound love with Bruce Lee and Kung Fu martial arts. And what really got me into boxing was when I was at Florida A&M University. And my mother, she was in a coma, and my father, at the time, I didn't know what was going on with him. There was nothing, but my aunt told me that maybe I should put school aside and come home and take care of my parents. But right before then, I was learning how to do nunchucks, martial arts, just learning different things. And I learned of a boxing gym up in Tallahassee, so I went and checked it out. And I think I went there for 1 week. And then, but that call initially from my aunt telling me about my parents made me stop training there and then come down to Lakeland. And upon that, I learned my father had cancer again. Mind you, he was a V&M vet, and he had gotten sprayed with Agent Orange, which was a pesticide. They used that in order to spray it in the jungle so then they could kill the forestry to see where their enemies would be hiding so they could kill them. But I came home and my mother came out of the coma, and my father spoke with me and my mother and stating that the doctors gave him a 50-50 chance survival, right? Because the cancer was where his throat was, and he already had a tracheotomy. And a tracheotomy basically is a hole that allows him to breathe. And it's a way that they had to maneuver. I don't know necessarily the construction of it, but he already had been through several surgeries and whatnot. But so he went into surgery and my mom was home. And in between him having surgery and coming out, I was trying to figure out where I needed to be at in life because I put school on hold and I'm home taking care of my mother. And I'm like, well, I want to do something with my life that's productive. So I was trying to get my time down in track. And my father, he ended up passing. So it was a little bit rocky. December 11th, 2010, he passed. And I was really still trying to find myself. And I ended up hanging around the wrong people that really were jealous, envious of me. And I had to make up the decision whether like to leave them alone and focus on just my mom, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to be there to take care of her. And so I focused all my attention on my mother, but of course I still had some type of not necessarily anxiety, but my temper and dealing with the passing of my father. So someone told me that maybe I should get into boxing because once I was called out my name, I hit somebody, and of course she was Buddy or whatnot calling me out my name. But they were like, maybe you should take up boxing and release some of that stress, that anger, the different things that I was going through at that time. And that's initially what got me into boxing, as far as a therapeutic outlet.
And you become good at it, and that's a bonus, isn't it? And you're doing something that you love, and you're fighting as a professional. Can you tell us a little bit about your record as a fighter? Because you fought some pretty good ladies, good fighters out there.
Oh yes, definitely. My record's 10-6 with 6 KOs, and the losses, I honestly don't even count them necessarily as a loss. It was, of course, a lesson, but these are against distinguished fighters. One girl from Puerto Rico, she was the bronze medalist, I believe, either the Pan Olympic Games. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's it. And honestly, it could have went either way, but she won, so I lost or whatnot. But those were like the most intricate types of fights. Like even my very first professional fight, we were unaware of the girl's declaration before I even fought her, but it was still a good fight nonetheless. So it just laid out a path that, of course, it's not going to be easy, but I definitely can handle it.
Of course, and as they say, you always learn more from a loss than you do from a win. And I'm sure you learned so much more from it. Tell me a little bit about your achievements that you've had through your journey.
Throughout my journey, it's been phenomenal. The first fight that I actually had as an amateur, I won the novice Golden Gloves. I want to say maybe I was 126 far as in weight, but I also participated in I want to say two other Golden Gloves and even received the best fight of the night, and then also meeting Chrissy Martin and performing on one of her shows and winning the belt. Like that was like so exciting, so much fun. I wouldn't like pass it up for the world. But other than the Golden Gloves, also just even with my first title fight as a professional boxer, it was over in Mexico. Of course, I had never been there, but of course Mexicans can fight, but I was definitely going to put grit the grain in. I got my first title belt with the WIBA for an international title. And then the second belt that I got as a professional fighter was up in Kentucky. And that was really special to me because my mother was from Kentucky. And that side, my mother's side of the family, they got to come and see me fight. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great fight, but I also obtained my second title with the American Boxing Organization under Juan Curel and received that regional title.
That's really amazing. Carissa, can you tell us what you love about your chosen craft of boxing? What do you love about the training? What do you love about what do you embody most about what you do as a professional boxer?
Really, the thing that really sticks with me with boxing is really being in the ring, and it's almost like playing freeze tag. I'm not sure if you've ever played it when you were younger, but basically you tag the person and they freeze until somebody else comes around and taps them, and then they're able to go and tag somebody else again. But basically, it's a tag game. So anytime it's a game for me, it's serious, but it's a game nonetheless, and it's fun. That's what stimulates me, that adrenaline rush in order to be able to play with the other person per se.
Yeah, I think it's such an amazing sport. It's almost like it really is like a game of chess, as they say. Carissa, can you tell us a little bit um, about what you were doing today with your boxing and what your plans are for the future?
Far as what's going on most up to date is I'm managing myself, and my first plans is to basically to have my first match to be here in Florida because I have friends and family that haven't seen me fight and want to see me fight. So of course they can't see me in Mexico or Australia, anywhere. So I'm definitely trying to have it here in Florida first, and then to go from there as to build up my fights to lead me to a world title. And I don't have plans to just go for one world title. It'll be for multiple, but I'll see what comes along.
What weight division are you fighting at now? Are you at one?
I haven't necessarily decided, but I might be sticking more so up to either 130, 135, somewhere around there. Not too heavy, not super light like 126 like I have in the past.
Mm. Yeah, I used to fight at 118 or less, you know. But I guess as you get older, it's hard to keep the weight off for me anyhow, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but and you obviously you plan to keep pursuing your professional boxing career and fight for more titles. And have you spoken to anybody in Florida? Like there's a guy that promotes fight nights at the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. Forget some Mexican dude, forget his name.
I believe I did speak with him over at the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame this past what was it, last month? So, but my overall thing with continuing boxing, one, of course, I have my own goals that I need to satisfy, but other goals that I have also in place are to also let anybody, not say the youngest child up to the oldest adult, let them know that regardless of anything that you're going through in life or how malicious life or people get, for you to stay positive, basically stay golden and keep going after your goals and dreams, whatever you're pursuing, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, amen. I agree with you. As you know, both my kids, my wife's African American, and they have experienced that a lot. And I know when I first met Linda, my father had said to me, "Are you ready for this?" And I said, "Yes, Dad. I'm in love, you know." And he said to me, "No, no, no, son. You haven't got just any woman. Are you ready for this?" And I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, Dad. I'm ready. I'm in love." And he goes, "Son, you don't understand. She's not what this is a black woman, you know." And he said to me, "You've got to be ready because when the kids come and you're going to go to school, you've got to be ready for that and you could be ready for this." Because my dad's from Babylon, modern Iraq, so he's a brown man, you know. And he said to me, "Just be ready for that." And I thought I was ready. I thought everything was fine. And then when they started going to school and they were called the words that I won't mention, but you know, the monkey and all the other stuff that they were called, I
Mhm.
just boiled. You know, I confronted the headmaster and I went up to the school and I was just really annoyed. I was receiving letters and emails from parents apologizing for the kids' behavior, but I just didn't think it was warranted, you know, because when we have these polluted, especially kids, they take it on board and they assign a state to it and they become traumatized by it. You know, and I mean, I'm not trying to educate you about anything that you don't already know, because I'm sure you've
Yeah.
experienced something along the line. And it's not the pollution that I wanted for my kids, and I don't think any parent with their right frame of mind would ever want that for their child. So, you know, that's been a real journey to understand my position as a husband, as a father, as a role model. And that's why I love to
Mhm.
interview people from different cultures and talk to them about, you know, the study of behavioral science, which I've done, and learn about their journey. But
Mhm.
Carissa, you know, it's been really amazing talking to you. Are there any positive messages that you want to send out there? Obviously, there's a lot of kids out there struggling through, you know, social media, bullying, um, struggling through life, growing up, just making adjustment into adulthood, because obviously young ladies going through puberty and getting into adulthood and that and all these emotions and that running through, whether it be anxious, then being traumatized by previous, you know, relationships or anything they've had going on in their life. What positive message do you have to share with them, knowing your journey and how you felt growing up and what boxing did for you that could do for them?
It's more than a couple of little things, a couple little sayings. Of course, staying golden is the abrupt message, but just to go a little bit more deeper, I've dealt with bullying since I can remember, honestly, with this at church, school, and I would get really down and depressed, and even sometimes now dealing with the scrutiny that I go through as an African American woman. It's just good for them to keep in mind that you're always going to face obstacles in life. You're always going to have to deal with something that upsets you, that makes you mad, frustrated. But it's always good to keep in mind that you have somebody that cares for you, whether it's one person, maybe five people. But remember that person. And when you need to speak to somebody about it, to get those feelings off your chest, go ahead and please do that. Now, whether you talk to somebody, write it down as a poem, or just write it down just to get it off your chest, do something to get that stress and that negativity up out of you. Because if not, it'll sit there and dwell within yourself, and eventually it'll grow to a monster. So it's always best to try to confront it the best way that you can, get it out of you, so then that you can live a productive life, so you can be successful and not have something in the back of your mind that's holding you back and hindering you. There's a lot of times in life where you're going to try to go for a job or go for something, and you won't even realize that you have these different complications that's programmed into your mind, into the way that you talk and react because of something in the past that's happened. So addressing it as soon as possible, the best way that you can positively is the best thing for you to do. So then when it comes to that point in time when you're going for a job or when you're even just conversating someone, you won't have a trigger, basically almost like a post-traumatic stress disorder. Having that it's a trigger, something that'll set you off that you'll remember from say somebody called you out your name or something that's really disrespectful, that you necessarily like, you will fly off the handle in an instant. You have to deal with it a positive way. Otherwise, it's just going to deteriorate you as a person. So stay focused and do what you can to handle the problem as positively as possible. You're going to hurt. You're going to go through it. It's okay to cry. It's okay to tell what's bothering you. You're human, and that's a part of life. But once you address it, then you'll grow and become stronger.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with me. Only 2 weeks ago, I went to watch Jaden play soccer, and I was sitting on the sideline before the game had started. And one of the kids blatantly said to the other kids from the other team, and excuse my language, we're all adults here, but he literally said to all the other guys, "Do you remember that black cunt that ran for the ball and I got it and pushed him over? That little black, etc." And I sat there and I was stretching. I was actually doing yoga and I was watching them. They were only like nothing but 5 feet away from me. I could blatantly hear everything, you know. I didn't say anything. I watched the game, and this guy kept mouthing off throughout the field, mouthing off, and I just turned around and I said, the game was getting heated, and I said to Jaden's team, guys, just cool down, just play the game and listen to the refs whistle. And he turned around at me and said to me, "Shut up, brother. Shut up, brother." And I'm an adult. He's a kid. And I said to
Hmm.
him, obviously you don't have manners. If you don't have manners, when this game is over, when you come off, you and your dad will come and I'll speak to both of you and I'll teach you both manners. Maybe your dad doesn't know that, but I'll teach you both manners. And so they stopped the game and said that I was threatening the child. And I said, no, I'm not threatening the child. And then the coach came at me, but you're an adult. You shouldn't be talking to a child like that. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to embarrass you here, but I'll cop it on the chin. Fair enough. Have a good day. And I left it at that. I let the game go on. And 2 days later, because they played on a Sunday, on a Saturday, I called him up on a Monday. And I said to the coach
Hmm.
of the team, uh, do you realize this is what had happened? And he said, why didn't you tell me? I'd have pulled him off. I said, it's not my job to tell you what happened. Okay. But if you're asking why I was annoyed, that's why I was annoyed. But you know, there's certain triggers that trigger you, and obviously that's my own internal representation. That's my internal view of the world. And I've always been that way. You know, and it's not just because Jews were enslaved in Egypt or just because of that or because of Germany or all that other stuff. All that I think systemically it probably has a lot to do with that. But I think
Hmm.
it has a lot to do with also it's so close to home, you know. And I think I'd probably be that way regardless. You know, I'd feel this way regardless, you know, whether that was my kids or anybody else. Full stop. Then you know, and I reacted in a strong way, you know. And I think sometimes, sometimes it is quite hard. It's hard. It's still at 55 years young, it's still hard for me because I don't perceive
Hmm.
life the way I, you know, and that is my own internal representation. It's my internal building block, whether they've been traumatized or whether they've felt something in the past that are igniting or triggered in responding that way. But really enjoy what you had to share with me, Carissa. And I've really enjoyed talking to you and meeting your friends here today, Cherie and Lisa. Thank you for joining
Can I
us.
say, can
Yes,
I toot Clarissa's horn? She also gives back to the community, right? In her way as well. During Christmas time, toys for tots, and she also, trained kids, so she's giving back exactly what she's gained as well. So as she was just saying, as far as what you had asked her, what to do in cases of bullying and such, but she also teaches that by way of her craft, which is boxing.
God bless. God bless. And that's beautiful. And the world needs more people like that. Um,
Yeah.
my people, I don't know if you remember when I first started visiting the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, Sharif. First of all, thank you for sharing that with me. I was back in 2011. I think it was when Roberto Duran and Aaron Pryor first got inducted to Florida Boxing Hall of
Mm.
Fame. to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. Butch Flansburgh was still alive back then. A lot of the people that we've lost along the way
Yeah.
are no longer with us, were around then.
Mhm.
But there was a tsunami in Vanuatu, and Vanuatu is predominantly French, mainly black, right? So Linda and I ran this charity at the gym, and we collected toys, and we filled the boxing ring up with all the toys that the community could ever give us. We got uh, blankets, we got t-shirts, clothes, hat, shoes, socks. We got tins of food. We sent about, I can't remember, heaps and heaps of, it was, I don't know if it was like 100 and a couple of 100 pounds of weight and clothes and food and all that to Vanuatu. And when I came to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, we did a little video on it, and it was something special. And then, it's funny, it doesn't matter how good you do, some people will always have to say, you only help a certain group of people. You only help these people and you don't do any other people. Um, but I mean, life's just a journey, you cop it on the chin and you just keep going with the flow, I guess. And what doesn't break you, I guess, makes you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm. But Carisse, how do you pronounce your name? It's Carisse, is it?
Yes, it's Carisse.
Carisse, Carisse, if
Mhm.
anybody out there wants to get in contact with you and learn a little bit about the work that you do, maybe they want to sponsor you, come on board, or support you in boxing in any way, or who maybe want to learn more about your journey, where do they reach you? How do they find you? Do you have an email address that you can share with us? Can you share your Facebook page or your Instagram or a website that you might have?
Yes, I actually have several ways to get in contact with me. One of them is email my name, Carisse J. Brown. That's Carisse, J as in Jack, and then BROWN at gmail.com. And on Facebook, far as social media, my Facebook is Carisse Taz Brown. And on Instagram, it would be Taz underscore the golden child. I also have a TikTok that's the at sign Carisse Taz Brown. And far as looking up more information, Cherie and Lisa Madrill that's on here with us right now, they've come up with a docu-series, almost like a documentary, but it'll have different series, and I'm the first one, and it'll be describing my boxing journey.
It
So,
would tell her story
right.
of her journey of from the time she was born until the present day. And we're looking for that to be released in September. So that's Hit Like a Girl, and we'll make sure you get that Instagram as well. Instagram we have for Hit Like a Girl, a website, and as she was stating, Taz is the opening of the series, Hit Like a
Beautiful.
Girl. She's the
And
first episode.
Lisa and Sharice, great having you here. I want to learn more about what you do. Obviously, anything empowering is important for my kids and for all people, and so I want to
Mhm.
learn about it. And if you don't mind, Lisa and Cherie, and I haven't spoken to you much, Lisa, I take it you've been listening in on us. Um, I would love to maybe interview Cherie about the stuff that you're doing. At the end of the day, it's all about empowering people of all backgrounds, not just Caucasian, European, Australian, Black, Asian, or whatever. It's all about, education. I think it's an old saying, they say education is the most powerful tool. And I think I really resonate with that. But it's so great to catch up with you and get a chance to talk to you, Lee. You know,
Right.
what's really incredible for me, and it's become really evident for me, and I said boxing has served its purpose, but since my travels to visit Florida and be involved with somebody from your culture, my wife, and I, there's a struggle, but then there's a real struggle. And I thought I knew what struggle was, coming to Australia, not being able to speak English, and mum and dad not having a job, five people sleeping to a bed, three at the top, two at the feet, not being able to have any money. Anything I got for myself was never bought for me. Running the streets and that, and I think boxing had served its purpose in that way. But when you talk about real struggle, until I came to America and I saw even somewhat successful people, and
Hmm.
struggle is there, and it's almost like unheard of over here. I mean, there's a struggle. We're all facing some form of struggle. You know, my dad has cancer, and it's part of the reason why I have to sell the gym and look after him. And I've got buyers, and it looks like by September I'll be selling the gym because dad needs my help, you know. And you've been there, you've done that, and you know what I'm going through. And it's but there's a deeper struggle that is evident every day, everywhere you go, and it's not based
Yeah.
upon your intellect. It's not based upon how tall you are. It's not based upon anything but your background, you know. And
Right.
sometimes the world, it talks about multiculturalism and all that, but I think it's still, even this modern day and age, it is so far from it. And
It's a lot of, oh, go ahead.
whether it's prejudice, whatever it may be, but it's evident, you know. And you know, like this session's been recorded, but to be honest with you, I've had so many people say to me, you only favor certain people, you're doing that, like you do that, you do this, and I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I don't know. I can't answer that, but I just think sometimes I'm just so real and so honest about what's going on around me, you know. And I think everywhere we go, as I said, everybody's talking about multiculturalism, how beautiful the country is, how intelligent this is, how intelligent that. I think intelligence goes beyond that textbook intelligence, university intelligence, or just emotional intelligence. It comes to like a person's behavior, which is part of the main reason I wanted to study behavioral science, is what I've studied and got my qualifications in. And I think that's been a blessing. But without going too deep and too far, Carisse and Cherie and Lisa, it's been great seeing you and talk to you here. To everybody watching this, don't forget, just a reminder, next week I'll be joined by Bob Alexander, who is a Florida Boxing Hall of Fame inductee. Before we go ahead, I'm also going to say that Carisse is she's probably going to be an inductee at some stage when she gives up and retires with her boxing, with all the stuff that she's achieved. And
For sure, for
not that
sure.
not that it's fair to me or anything, but you've lived there and you've done all the great things, and I'm sure that it's not going to go unnoticed. But next week, just a reminder that I'm going to be catch up with Bob Alexander on the
Mhm.
same time, same place. We're going to be interviewing him about his journey and talking about all the great things that he's been doing, his involvement at the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, calling fights in boxing and MMA and everything else. From
He's a
everybody,
great guy. I want to be on that call, so make sure you send that. I would definitely try to be on that.
I'll add me to Facebook and I'll be able to share that with you.
Okay.
But from everybody, from Lisa from Atlanta, from Cherie and Carisse from Florida, and myself at Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia, have an amazing week. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
God bless.
Bye.
Thank you.